Flights can be very expensive, but they can also be very cheap. For example, a few months ago I flew from Larnaca, Cyprus to Berlin, Germany for just 5 euros. I couldn't believe my eyes, but it was really true. I spent more money on a coffee at the airport than for the actual flight ticket. And then I thought to myself, I want to fly so cheap every time. So I digged a little bit deeper into the mystery of flight tickets, and what I came up with is pretty interesting. Hey everybody, it's Rico, and if you want to know my top 4 cheap flight hacks, definitely make sure to watch this video until the very end. Let me start by saying that those 4 tricks actually apply to all kinds of flights and also all airlines. From budget airlines to luxurious airlines, economy class, business class and even first class. And this leads me to tip number 1, which is don't wait with the bookings. If you see a price that you're comfortable with, better pay for it sooner than later, because the algorithms actually save your searches and they see when you look for a flight more often, and this signals urgency and also more demand for the flights, and thus the prices will increase immediately. And waiting for another day or for another time of the day is not worth it, because it is a myth that flight tickets are cheaper on certain days or times. If the prices are still too high, I actually recommend to not check the prices multiple times a day, because this would probably not make the flight cheaper but the opposite. It makes much more sense to set up a price alert, for example, so that you get emailed when the price reaches a point that you're willing to pay. Tip number 2 is for the more flexible and spontaneous travelers from us, and that is book one-way tickets. I personally did book a round-trip ticket for a very long time now, just because I'm very flexible when I'm traveling. Also, when I fly abroad, I usually stay there for some weeks, and this allows me to look for another one-way ticket back home after some days or weeks. If you book a round-trip ticket immediately, then you want to fly on 2 specific dates, and the chances of getting 2 cheap flights on 2 dates is actually very rare. So if you have the freedom to book a one-way ticket, I definitely recommend to do it, and also it's just a very free feeling when you do it. Also, if you are really spontaneous, you could even choose another airport that you want to fly on. For example, on the Google Flights web app, there is an Explore tab, and when you click on that, you can actually see all the surroundings and nearby airports to your specific target, and then you can actually also fly to another airport maybe, and then drive with the bus, with the train, or whatever you want. But as I said, this is only for very flexible travelers. But actually the best and most fun trips are the most spontaneous ones, so maybe just try it out. And also a little secret tip is to look for stopover connection flights. That means if you want to go from A to B, but there is also a flight from A to B to C with a stopover in B, then you could use the latter flight and just stop at your desired destination and not use the next flight. Such stopover connection flights, even though you're flying more, are sometimes cheaper. And this leads perfectly to hack number 3, and that is use price comparison tools. And no, it's not that obvious, because most people, they just use one price comparison tool and they book their flights. However, it makes more sense to use at least 2 price comparison tools and choose the cheaper. Because if you want to buy a used car, you also go to multiple dealerships before you actually buy a car. It never makes sense to buy the first deal that you see, because there might be better deals out there. Examples for such price comparison tools are obviously Google Flights, but also Kayak is very good, Kiwi and even Swoodoo, and many other options as well. Those are the main ones that I use, and no, there is no super secret website that always has the cheapest flights, so use at least 2. Another tip is to delete your cookies of the browser, use incognito, or even use a VPN, because in this way you can fictionally be another person and maybe look if there are other prices for other people, for other locations in the world, because a lot of people say that they got very cheap prices with that. For me personally, I don't do it. However, maybe it works for you. Let me know in the comments if that ever works for you. I'm very curious on that. Also, sometimes on those websites I see epic deals. For example, once I saw a deal for 50 euros 1 week in Dubai in a 4-star hotel, and I immediately booked it, of course. However, I got a cancellation about 1.5 weeks after my booking, and they said, yeah, it's not possible, which was actually kind of obvious to me, but I still tried it out. However, I read online that for some people such an epic deal actually went through, because the event manager is legally required to give you that trip if you booked it. But for me, unfortunately, the Dubai trip was cancelled. But I'm very curious, have you ever had such an epic deal, or you know someone that actually went on such an epic holiday? Let me know down in the comments as well. Now, hack number 4 is something that a lot of people get wrong, but if you do it right, it's so amazing, and that is collecting miles. You can get a membership or join a loyalty program of an airline, for example, or of a website, and with that loyalty program you can collect miles by flying or spending money, and then you will get cheaper upgrades to business class or first class. Sometimes you even get free flights if you have enough points collected, and then you get other benefits as well. Yes, it makes most sense for high frequency travelers. However, it can also make sense for people that don't travel that often. Because my favorite is actually the American Express Platinum card. This credit card is not tied to one airline, and you can fly with multiple airlines and combine all of your miles. And I'm saying that an American Express makes sense for a lot of people and not just for high frequency travelers, because it is much cheaper than most people think. It actually costs just a few €100 a year, and it's even cheaper than a gym membership, so it's not just for the super rich people like a lot of people think. And also something very interesting is that they sometimes have promotion where you get 50,000 to 75,000 miles as a gift if you order the Platinum credit card. 75,000 miles is actually so much that you could get a first class flight from Germany to Dubai completely for free. So it's worth to just get the credit card for this one flight, because a first class flight to Dubai with Emirates costs sometimes even 10,000 euros, even 15,000 euros. So this definitely makes sense just for that one flight. And then let's say you will get miles for every other flight that you will take and pay with your American Express. Other smaller benefits are that you get, for example, upgrades in hotels or in airlines completely for free, let's say from economy to business class. Also, you get a gift card for car rentals, you get some access to airport lounges, insurances, and various other benefits like that. So to me personally, this investment is absolutely worth it, even though I'm not traveling every week. But the most important point I'm making here is to use credit cards the right way. Of course, it doesn't need to be this one credit card specifically. There are other very good credit cards as well with a lot of benefits where you get instant cashback on every purchase, insurances, airport lounges, upgrades, this and that. Just be aware that credit cards can be very beneficial for getting cheap flight tickets as well. And I could say now use the link down below, but instead I just ask to subscribe to the channel, because I will make much more awesome videos in the near future, and I will see you soon.